Welcome back to BRC Builds. Today we're insulating and drywalling, because as much as I enjoy the great outdoors, I'd rather not feel it inside my house. First up, batt insulation. It's like tucking your house in with a big fiberglass blanket. Pretty straightforward. Just cut it to size, tuck it in, make sure it fits snugly between the studs, and staple it in. For the attic, we're using this blown-in cellulose insulation and a rented blower from Home Depot, which we actually got for free when we purchased a certain amount of insulation. This process basically turned this space into a giant snow globe, but it was quick, and it only took a couple of hours. It was great having a second set of hands here. My wife loaded the machine and I worked the hose from the farthest corner in, making sure to hit the required depth for our R value of R49. It's not exactly a showroom finish or the prettiest job I've ever done, but lucky for me, no one's giving attic tours. And finally, we stuff R30 fiberglass batts into the vaulted ceiling and R30 in between the floor joists. Now that our walls and ceilings are nice and fluffy, it's time to cover them up with giant awkward sheets of drywall. The first step is to put a perimeter bead of caulk to help seal up air leaks and make the house that much tighter and energy efficient. Drywall is definitely doable as one person, but if you've got an extra set of hands, use them. If not, welcome to the wrestle it in place and hope for the best technique. These 12-foot boards are nice because you have less drywall seams, but they're definitely awkward to put in place as one person. I found that resting the drywall on 2 nails on each side at the height you want makes this a lot more manageable. In addition, having one of these drywall screw guns makes a world of difference. But boy, you can see I really still struggled with this one. It looks like I'm fighting for my life here, getting this thing up there. This bottom sheet is a lot easier to put in, but you still sometimes have to make a few cuts or adjustments. You can see in this shot I'm using a drywall lifter that acts as a lever, allowing me to use my foot to lift up the sheet so it butts right up against the top sheet. I love any little tool like this that makes my life easier. The screw spacing on these sheets is on every stud right near the edge and no farther than 12 inches away in the middle of the sheet and no farther than 8 inches at the edges where the end of the drywall falls on a stud. This drywall cutout tool is another big time saver and just makes the whole job that much more enjoyable. Could you do it by hand? Sure, but I say whenever you can make your life easier, do it. When driving the drywall screws, you want to sink them just below the surface. Deep enough to hold, but not so deep they rip through. Think of it like seasoning your food. Too much, ruined, and too little, useless. If you don't have a drywall lift, putting these 12-foot sheets on the ceiling is a real test of patience and dexterity. But with enough screws, anything can defy gravity. And you can see I really went to town on this one for some reason. I put these green mold-resistant sheets in the bathroom for peace of mind, even though they were a little pricier. Now for mudding. This is a true art form, and I have a ton of respect for drywallers because it took me forever to even get my drywall seams just good enough. I did 3 coats, one to embed the tape, one a bit wider after, and finally the widest to smooth it all out. Unfortunately, I didn't get a ton of clips of this, but let me tell you, it took me a long time. Ugh, sanding, the bane of my existence. This is where past mistakes come back to haunt you. Every extra glob of mud, yeah, now it's your problem. In an ideal world, you'd be good enough with applying the mud that you barely have to do any sanding, but that's not how it went for me. I chose not to use a drywall texture, so getting the walls perfectly flat was especially a real pain. However, by using a light flat against the wall to find imperfections and a power sander when I could to make quick work of it, at least it was a little easier. And just like that, we have real walls. It feels a little less like a construction zone and a little more like an actual room. That's it for this one. If you're enjoying the build series, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and stay tuned. There's plenty left to do.